Oh, yeah, I, with no family or anything around, the whole fireworks thing just doesn't have the appeal for me that it should. I mean, when I had the girls around and I had a wife and extended family that threw parties and stuff, that's one thing. But yeah, pretty much extended family from my side, they all have their own extended families, so I don't get invited to those very often. And when it comes to my dad's side of the family, I hardly hear from them as well. So, mm, something's missing. Ah, my phone. Be right back. Okay. Just in case I get a text from someone. Mm. Oh, that's good. But yeah, it's like 107 degrees outside and it's 88 in the house. We got all the fans and AC going. It's still 88. And it's supposed to push it down to 77, but it isn't because the vents don't work properly. I think we got some sort of blockage in them or something. Anyway, so there is one person that doesn't have a thing on YouTube, but they'll be watching. So whenever they speak to me, they talk to me by text or and some on Instagram. So I got that up too. And who knows, I might get some call saying, hey, you got a job, but it's 4th of July, so I'm not exactly expecting that. Um, anyway, I've been working on the Broken World campaign setting that videos for you guys, and it's going a little slower than expected. It's only 68 degrees here with chances of rain. I would love that. It hasn't been in the 60s for months. I'm probably going to leave to get a refill of this soon. I think I already downed half of it. Um, but anyway, here, let me get the notebook out. But yeah, I got like 6 or 7 green notebooks for various things for my channel. Like one has the character names that I use for wizardry and stuff like that. Um, one has all the notes you gave me. But let's see here. Uh, I think I put some of that on. There we go. But yeah, originally the first episode was going to be about, I was actually going to do like a general history lesson on the entire game world and all that. Did I say wizardry? I meant to say six. I don't know why I keep saying every number but the correct one. I mean, I say it correctly when I do the recording, so I don't know why when I'm on live I keep forgetting what the damn number is. But Yeah, the original idea was like I was going to do a history lesson, how the world was created, how it got to where it is, and the scheme of things for the campaign and all. But the thing was, is I kept getting bored halfway through the video, when I'm doing the recording. And I found more and more interest in the old, because I would write down what everybody did during the game. Um, I even had audio recordings, which I can't seem to find the audio recordings because I used to have one of those old little pocket recorders that you'd see in like the '80s movies where the guy would talk like this in a recorder while he was doing detective work or whatever. I had one of those, and I don't know what happened to it, but that had a lot of D&D story arcs on it, and you could hear the voices of the players as we were playing. I can't seem to find the maps anywhere, and I know I had abundance of those. And I mean, these were like big maps, fold out maps of dungeons and the world map and everything. Just to give you an idea what the continent looked like, flip over the United Kingdom. That's what I used. I had a map of the United Kingdom with no markings on it, and I flipped it upside down and went from there. And instead of a few islands, there were actually full blown continents. Well, actually, I think it was one continent, just was split down the middle. But yeah, I don't know what happened to those maps. Otherwise, I'd show them to you guys. Um, let's see here. Anyways, I did find one of the character sheets, which I'm not going to bring out here because it's in the other room right now, and I don't want to dig it up right now. But I found one of them, and I think I know where the other ones are. There's about 8 or 9 of them. Because usually, the players would let me make copies of when they started, and at the end of the campaign, I would make a copy, and we'd frame the final player sheet. If they survived through the campaign, I'd frame it for them. Anyway, so let's see here. Oh, it is on there. Okay, I thought I didn't save it. It just popped up. I do have the first character on here, a human ranger named Oren Grayson, which I had to admit that's the first time anybody in any of my campaigns played a human character, and but yeah, and he wrote down a little history for me, and I basically just copied it down to here. Everything I allowed him to, I agreed to allow him to do and all that stuff. So, and we worked very close putting the campaign together. Let's see here. I would show you the pictures, but I have them on my computer so I might have to wait until the video so you can see them. But the pictures were stuff I found online that was close to the description of the characters that they had drawn. So we had Enna of Hanan, which is one of the countries there. Mouse Bracegirdle, which was anyway. Let me tell you what they were. Enna of Hanan was a tiefling, sorceress, if I remember correctly. I still haven't found her player sheet yet. Mouse Bracegirdle, which was a halfling rogue, and I found her player sheet just this morning, so I can probably put that in. So, and then Oren Grayson, which I have it printed out on the computer now. I just finished that last night. Regnad Broken Tusk, which I did not realize what my friend had done. He had basically taken the word danger and reversed it to Regnad. Smug son of a bitch. And there was a dire wolf that was with the group named Saber. I'm trying to remember who had the dire wolf. It was either Orin or Regnat. I don't remember which one. I believe it was Orin. I have to look through the scripts. Then you had a Warforged named Gears, who, and you're gonna love this. They pop up later in the campaign. We had two people show up a little bit later in the campaign, and close to I think the last 50% you're raining now. Well, that might have an effect on the fireworks. But we had three other characters show up about halfway through the campaign, and because we had two people drop out, and three more came in. But it started off with, I think it was the first session you had four, and with the inclusion of a direwolf that joined the group, as not as a player but as an NPC, so I had to play the wolf. But he, yeah, it was Regnat that had. No, it wasn't Regnat. It was Orin. Orin was the ranger. Okay, now I remember. Okay, it was Orin that had the dire wolf because he convinced it to join them. But yeah, we had Gears and Pyrite, which was a gold kobold. And I could barely find anything on kobolds, about color schemes other than, they pretty much could be any color. So in this particular setting, gold kobolds are extremely rare, and extremely friendly. Um, but they are adventurous and they like to hang out with adventurers. But Pyrite actually found this I do remember because they are actually brother and sister, and Pyrite was the girl and Gears was the guy. I'm not going to name who any of the players were because half the time I don't even remember their names. But Pyrite finds Gears, and since Pyrite is a artificer, she basically found Gears in a, I guess you would say, a unworkable state, fixed him up, and got him working again. And since he had no memory of his past, he started referring to Pyrite as mother. Which I thought was a cute little thing the two of them did together. So we had Gears and Pyrite, and then later on in the campaign, like halfway through, we had a dwarf cleric named Bramwin Hammerhand, a paladin named Isabeau, and I did not realize that Isabeau and because I just watched the movie the other day and I just realized the names here. Yeah, two of the characters were apparently fans of Lady Hawk. Of course, we got all three of them here. The halfling's name is Mouse, but I think that was just by chance because that was actually their nickname, and I forgot what the first name was. I think she even forgot what the first name of the character was, and just went with Mouse as the nickname. But yeah, we had Bramwin Hammerhand, Isabeau, who was a paladin, and Navarre, who was a wizard, a gnome wizard. And I just kind of sat there, went with, really? Now that I'm sitting here looking at this, I'm going like, they could have had it to where Navarre was the paladin and Isabeau should have been a druid. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. It kind of goes back to what was it? Dragonlance, when you had the twins. Uh, I think it was Caramon and Raceland. Please tell me she went to the dark side. But yeah, Bramwin, Isabeau, and Navarre were actually. I started them off as a separate party, and then kind of push them to once they got to a certain point, push them into the other group. Well, not push them, but put them together with the other group. So that was yeah. So we had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players, and I believe it uh, was it who was it that left the party? I do believe it was Gears and Enna that left the party. Well, Enna, her character died, so I had to spoiler alert. But Enna's character, died, and and she replaced it with Isabeau, I believe, and brought her one of two of her friends in when she would decide to bring in the new character and brought them in. So that's how that worked out. But I think it was Gears. I think did a self-sacrifice thing. Oh, I bet. Never had the gender swap with players. Although I think one character, it's in the next, it's in the next campaign, in which I'll get to. The next campaign, we did have a changeling in the group, and she played her character as non-binary. That way, she could do male and female characters in disguise. And I think that was like one of the few times that someone actually did that with a character, made them non-binary. Oh, I started Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 last night. Let you know, that was actually my third attempt in the last 2 weeks to get a video going on that, because the first two times, I think I mentioned the recording system kept malfunctioning. And I think it was because when I accidentally erased the, what was it? I can't think of what it's called now because I don't want to remember. I don't want to lose it again. But when I accidentally erased that one program, it screwed up everything. Once I got everything back in order, the recorder started working perfectly since. So maybe it was a good thing that I screwed up. Let's see, I had a one character, and this was earlier on when I first started playing. No, it wasn't. No, no, no. It was when I was working at a game store for, under the table. I was working at a game store. It's okay, man. I misspell words all the time. Anyway, so yeah, so I was gonna initially just do like a world build kind of thing, but the more I was doing it, the more boring it got trying to put everything together and put it down on paper and coming up with pictures and stuff. It was more work than I thought it was more work than I thought was needed. So that's why I just decided, I'm just gonna uh, tell it as I built it was through the campaign. I'm just gonna tell the story as it goes from there instead of just going through the whole thing. And you guys could probably put the puzzle pieces together on what's going on. So I am going to work on them. I'm actually looking up for pictures and stuff of. They're not going to be perfect pictures that I'm going to find like on Pinterest or DeviantArt or some places like that. But it's going to be like video clips and stuff like that that I find off the internet. And I say at the beginning every time that I'm going to do my best to try to acknowledge and give credit to the artists and creators of said clips and videos. So it's not going to be just me just throwing in stuff and talking. I'm going to try to try to do my best to make it a very cohesive, hopefully entertaining show. Um, it's gonna and like I said, it's probably going to be large gaps between episodes because, like I said, I got to put a lot of work into them, and most I've done is just throw videos together on video games, and most of those times it just takes me a day or two at most to put something together. I've had videos put up and ready within a matter of an hour. I don't think I can define normal. Normal for me is a normal video, I should say, or a good timed video would be I could have I go and play the game, and I record or I do a live stream, whatnot. And an hour or two after I'm done, I can usually have the video ready, up and ready, with credits and everything, in that time, and the video will be up within 3 or 4 hours after me finishing the gameplay. And that's the usual norm. I've had times where it's like it's 2 or 3 in the morning when I get done recording, and I just do the setup so I can go to sleep. And first thing in the morning, I'll get the game up and running. That's why you have some come in like early in the morning or late afternoons. Most of the time, they'll be up late night, anytime between 11 o'clock and 1 p.m. And that's the norm is videos up around those hours. Um, then let's see. Uh, when I do the live streams, the only reason I do the live streams so late on Twitch is because that's actually the only time I actually have to do stuff like that. And it's also for some reason I think it's my computer's memory or hard drive. It has a hard time doing multiple things like doing the live stream, doing the recording, doing the gameplay, recording me all at the same time. So I think that has a lot to do with why I'm only doing like really old games on the live streams. Which I don't have a problem with that because the older games is the ones I usually have the biggest problems with. So when I do a Twitch, I kind of hope you show up on those, but you haven't done so yet. Or if you do, you're staying silent and just fuming at my stupidity. Because every time it's like I'm playing Pool of Radiance, Wizardry 6. Hey, I got it right that time. Wizardry 6, Bard's Tale, any of those games. And it's games you've played from bookend to bookend. And you know the game's like the back of your hand, more than likely. And I go and do something stupid, or I screw up, or I ask a dumb question, or if I ask a legitimate question, I'm already thinking JP's going to be pissed. Because I'm already, even though I don't know what you sound like, I'm already hearing or I'm reading the text in the comments or whatever. I'm already seeing the comments uh, ahead of time before you even put anything up, and going like, he's gonna lay into me. And of course, I've seen them. I've seen some of those comments. I mean, you do not hold back. You get vicious sometimes, and I'll admit it. Sometimes my feelings are hurt, but it was like at the same time going like, well, yeah, I kind of deserved that. Oh, that's fine. I'll still, I still put the videos up afterwards anyway on here, so and I still ask the questions out, even if I don't get an answer. I'll still put them up on the because hardly anybody shows up on the Twitch streams anyway. I'm actually getting to the point where why am I even bothering? Because it's like it says I have 23 followers, but not a single one of them. I think only one of them shows up every time out of the 23. I think I was up to 24, but then it dropped down back to 23. I think I bored the other person. Yeah. Yeah, if I take off, it's because I'm getting more drink. I was gonna shave beforehand, but I got up at like 1:30 today, and it's about 5:30 right now. It was like I had very little time to prepare for the stream tonight, and I'm thinking the stream is going to go to at least 6:30. In which case, I'll take like a 5-10 minute break, grab some snacks and more drink and whatnot, and stretch my legs. Oh, so you're 2 hours ahead of me. But yeah, at so in about um, an hour and 5 minutes, I'll take like a 5 to 10 minute break to use the facilities, get snacks and whatnot, and then go on for another hour and a half till it'll be 8 o'clock here. So if we add 2 hours to that, it'll be 10 o'clock there, wherever you are. So anyway, back to talking about the campaign. It there is a problem. It went for a good 125 sessions, and I'm not going to bring up how I did the leveling. That's up to whoever plays the campaign. So I try to do my streams like I do most of the time with these kind of streams. It's I try to do them anywhere between 5 o'clock and midnight. I don't want to be up too late, and I have done late night streams, but that's only because I hadn't done a stream in a while, and I wanted to put something on Twitch to just keep the channel alive. But yeah, I do it. So yeah, it would be around 7 o'clock your time when I do a stream. Anywhere from 7 o'clock to 2 in the morning. But yeah, that's the gap. That's the gap I usually use. Um, Sometimes I'll go earlier. It just depends on how busy I was that day. Considering I don't have a job right now, still, it's pretty open when I do streams. But Dad's been keeping me busy during the day, so well, I'll try to do earlier then. I'll try to do it before 5 o'clock my time. I'll try to be on 5 o'clock my time, or try an hour or two earlier if I'm able to. And I'll always put a notice up when the stream starts. Like if you go to my channel right now, there's a temporary video telling people that I'm doing a live stream right now. But I'm not expecting a big turnout because it's 4th of July. People want to go out, get drunk, and shoot themselves in the ass with fireworks, or launch fireworks out their ass. So okay, but yeah, live streams. I try to do them Monday, Wednesday, possibly Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I tend not to do too much Tuesdays and Thursdays. Well, like I said, but the video will be up within a lot of time too, within a day or two of the stream. So you're not missing out. And I keep watching 2, 3, 3, 2, and now it's back to 1 on the viewership right now, which I don't mind. I mean, I'm talking to you right now, so my feelings aren't too hurt. But yeah, so I keep wanting to get back to the campaign, but conversation's just as fun. Um, but the beginning party was Regnard, the half orc uh, fighter. No, he's a barbarian. Excuse me, he's a barbarian. Or it's just my drawl voice is putting everybody to sleep and they fall on their computers, knocking the computer out of whack. But yeah, you had Oren Grayson, who is a human ranger. We had Regnad Broken Tusk, who is a half orc barbarian. Uh, Mouse Brace Girdle, half elf or halfling. Excuse me, I said half elf, halfling rogue, and Enna of Hanan, a tiefling sorceress. I said, everybody that plays. I said tiefling, but it's I entered. I've heard two different versions. I've heard tiefling and I heard tiefling. So I don't actually know which one is the actual canon pronunciation. So if you hear me say it either way, it's because I've heard both versions and I pretty much consider both canon in my head. So I go it's the same thing with Tabaxi, Tabashi, and Tabaxi. Or Tabazi, I've heard it pronounced that way too. And in the second campaign, we did have a Tabaxi in the party, and she actually went with all the pronunciations because that was part of her character. She wasn't even sure. Her character wasn't even sure how it was pronounced, so she used every single version that was that I think was used in a racial description that they didn't even know that it was like the pronunciation was interchangeable to them. And I think the Tabaxi, I pronounce it Tabaxi, but I think the Tabaxi like taxi. But the Tabaxi in that group, there was, I'm trying to remember, it was pretty much a kitten when the campaign started and was a teenager by the time the campaign ended. So yeah, you had like this little bipedal furball, which kind of looked like the one in the movie, actually, if I remember correctly. Kind of looked like the one in the movie, and was basically a followed around a half orc. There was another half orc in that group too, and the half orc in that group. I got to find the paperwork on that party too before I get started on that one, if I ever get started on that one. But yeah, it was basically she was kept around like a what do you call it, animal companion sort of a way, even though she was bipedal and can use weapons and talk, but she was pretty much treated like a animal companion by the half orc. I think I saw a picture recently where it showed like a tabaxi kitten being played with by a half orc. I might use that picture if I can find it again. I'll use that picture on the channel when I get to that particular campaign because that described their characters perfectly. And the funny thing was when it came to the kobolds, because the character was a gold kobold named Pyrite, yeah, as in fool's gold. I could not find a single picture of a gold kobold anywhere. You would think there would be one somewhere, but you can't find one anywhere. So I ended up just using a standard looking kobold picture that I just happened across that actually looked like the drawing that the player did of the character. And so, but it's more of a dark bluish color in the photo. So, and then you had so yeah, it's like I said, it's just random pictures I found off the internet, and that's what I'll be using in the video. But I like the fact that these players, even though they were new to the, actually there was three of them that were initially in the group that were very familiar with the game already. They were already interacting with. Excuse me. Yeah, damn it, I got the hiccups. Okay, so their interactions, they were pretty much familiar with the game, so their interactions were very into player characters interacting with each other instead of the players playing as the player characters interacting with each other. So it was very much stage acting on a table. And so it was the players for Regnard, Orin, and Mouse were the veteran players. Enna was the newest player in the group, and I liked how her player got into the game. She really wanted to know names of countries, and how her character would interact with the world and stuff like that before she even got started. Because she was into a stage plays in their local area, so she was a stage actress, so she kind of was familiar with it. So she started, she as I was describing Dungeons and Dragons to her, she saw it as, oh, it's improv, and I go, exactly, it's exactly what it is. It's improv. So that's really how she got into it. And she wanted to know more about her character and stuff like that, getting into the game. So when you're hearing me talk about the game, I'm actually going to describe it almost like a novel, the way they did it, because a lot in the earlier games when I did stuff, I actually would write down the player's name and what they did as the character. But when came to their group, I wrote it as the player character's name and what the character did, because they actually would break they wouldn't break the fourth wall through the whole game. They actually worked like they were actually the characters in the story. And so I thought that was the most fun I ever had in a campaign, because all the other games up that it was like a mix of you had players not really paying attention to the situation. And it comes to their turn to go, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, playing, roll the dice, whatever, get back to reading their book or playing their pocket game or whatever. Uh, and so but yeah, this group, they were really into it, and they were so you had people that were really into the role play of the game. So I think that's what made the campaign a little bit longer in comparison to other campaigns I played, where it was just everybody just going through the dungeons and going through the motions and not really role playing at all. They were just playing it like they were on how do I describe it? Like they were on an MMO or something like that. They were just building stats, and that was it. These guys, yeah, the stats were there. They worked with the stats as they went along, but then they would focus more on the role play more than anything. Although the combat, when we got into the combat, yeah, they really got into that part too. But yeah, the majority of the time it's role play during the campaigns. And we played with the main group, which was a total of 6 people. They really did a lot for the role play, and that's what they really wanted to put focus on. Even though, like I said, we did do the combat, they fought the monsters, they went through the dungeons and everything, but they would put a lot of focus on playing as the character, doing what the character would do. hmm And so, yeah, out of all the groups I played with, that was the most fun. Nothing against the family dynamic that we did when I was with married and the kids and all them when we played D&D, but that was like a mixed bag half the time. This group I really enjoyed because of the fact that they did the role playing, and I never been with a group like that where it was just everybody was so focused on the game, and I'm just sitting there going, like, why couldn't my other games be like this? I mean, like I said, I have nothing against the way my family played and the way that my ex-wife played, or any of our friends that were in those particular groups played. I had nothing against that. Everybody plays the game differently, but I had the most enjoyment with the role playing, and I keep saying that, and I keep repeating that, but I just can't get over how much fun I had, and that's why I wanted to talk about that instead of just talking about the world building and all that. I'm just going, you know what? I actually think I want to talk about the campaign itself, because I got a lot of notes, and I could just, like I said, I could fill in the gaps where it is, because I do remember what most have happened just off the top of my head, and they thought out of the box a lot of the times when it came to their adventures, and I mean thought out of the box as in it was stuff you would probably figure would be in a novel or in a movie, not just oh, we're in combat and they just go in and start swinging their swords or shooting fireballs and stuff. They would actually plan out things. We'd have maps out, we'd have the miniatures out, and they would actually go for a full like 15-20 minute discussion before rolling the dice. And I wouldn't stop them. I mean, I was like, I was enjoying listening to these guys go, do their work, and how they were having fun. I'm having fun listening to them. So who's going to complain? Nobody. Everybody's having a blast. So I didn't put a timer on them. I go, oh, come on, guys, we're in the middle of combat right now. Combat could ask because of this though. Combat would last sessions. One, one thing of combat could last sessions because of it. But I had no problem with it because everybody kept notes. Everybody had these kind of notebooks, those little what do you call them? Those little speckled black and white cardboard. Uh, what do they call them? Composition notebooks, stuff like that. Everybody had them, and they would fill out. They'd have stacks of everything that they learned through the game, and everything they were doing with their characters. They kept notes on everything about what their characters were, and it wasn't just the 2 sheets of paper or the 1 sheet of paper with the character stats on it. They had full notes on everything. They took the game very seriously. And I don't mean they took it seriously as in they were serious all the time. I mean they would play jokes in the game and stuff like that. So and I think what was it, the third campaign? They actually wanted it as a comedy. They wanted to play it as a comedy, and I was fine with that. Although all I did was do the setup for them, and they did the rest. And I think that's what made it easiest on me is the fact that they did most of the playing, and all I had to do was just tell them the setup, and they just went from there. So it was yes, it was very much improv acting at the table. I just wish I had the recordings because they would do it in voice. They would do it in character the entire time. Even when they're rolling dice and stuff, they would go. They're not, Red Guard's done, going to swing his sword. He goes, no, I am going to swing my sword and I'm going to strike him in the shoulder and sever his arm. It's like, stuff like that. They would get very specific. Oh yeah, it was very detailed. But yeah, and you'd have people. If I didn't have a map out, I think it was Mouse that was drawing out a map as I was describing things. They would draw out a map, and at one point she would just, without saying anything, she would just hold the paper up and go, and I would say yes, exactly like that. And I think if she was the one that figured out that the world map was the United Kingdom, United Kingdom upside down. And I'll tell you, when you have a group like that is really into the game, and they don't harbor, give themselves distractions, or they're not being distracting, uh, you will have a blast, bar none. You will have a blast because it's easiest on the DM when he doesn't have to do all the work. I mean, I've had games where I had to do the role playing for people, and I hated it. World map was a cube. Never had that one, but a friend of mine, he had a campaign that I played one session of. By the way, it was the one that I mentioned the last time, where we had the player that kept getting into arguments with everybody. But he had another campaign, and it was a third edition where we started off, and I played a half orc. No, I was a half orc paladin. Excuse me, I was a half orc paladin, and we only played like 3 sessions of that. And by the time we were able to get back to it, he had already started. He's already got into fourth edition, which, by the way, fourth edition, I'm fine with fourth edition. It's just all the stat the stat note taking you have to do. That's what I really hated about it. Exactly. Um, but I'm going to go ahead a little bit on the campaign on something that happened, and I thought it was a great example because it was actually something I heard in a disc. You might have heard of it. It was like the AD&D beginners box set, and it came with a CD, and it has this little segment at the beginning. Mind you, I've heard you can actually look it up on YouTube. You can find the CD on, and it has voice actors, doing like literally doing cut scenes for a D&D session. And the at the beginning of it, they do an opening where it's like you hear the players talking and basically trying to give you an introductory into playing the game. And it doesn't go into the stats or anything like that. It just kind of goes into role playing itself. And I think I think it's like the segment goes for maybe about 4 or 5 minutes, where it goes in, it goes into these little details, and I call it and I describe it as the pit at the top of the ziggurat, because they call it, an Aztec, an Aztec pyramid, but it's called a ziggurat. But um, and when they get to the top of it, they find like there's a deep pit, and they go through different things about this pit. And I always describe when I try to describe how to play D&D to people. This is the segment I use because I think it's such a great example. And in the segment, the whole segment is these kids get together. Well, if I could find it on here, I could probably play it for you, but they probably, I probably might get a copyright strike on it if I do. But if I can find it, I'll give you the name, and I'll type it out in the chat here. So while I'm looking for that, oh, that's it. First Quest audio CD introduction to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and it's got a playlist. Very first thing. Okay, so let me write it out for you. I know it's supposed to be a capital D, but who cares? But yeah, AD&D First Quest CD, and the first 2 segments is what I would put most emphasis on, or first 2 or 3, because it actually talks about role playing. I keep looking up at the monitor, I know, instead of looking at the camera, because I'm reading the comments. I'm looking at the comments, and I'm reading the other thing on the other screen. So I got to fix this at some point to where I can actually do this a little bit better. But yeah, so but the whole thing is that you have the I think it's they have you have the dungeon master who's like just bought the AD&D game, and the other 3 people have no idea how to play D&D, and It's what you would call subpar radio play acting. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not exactly music to the ears. Anyways, you go. Uh, First, they do like a little segment where it is, you know, like in characters. You hear the voices of a wizard, a cleric, and I think it was thief and fighter. So you have the core four right there, and they're already in the temple itself, and they see an old man in the temple, and they go, "What are you doing in this temple of evil?" And he goes, "Oh, you must survive the three trials. First, the trial by combat." And then these lizard men come out of these side doors and come and attack the party. And that's the end of the segment. Then they actually get into the narrator telling how this came about with the players getting together for the first time. And it's not exactly perfect on how a party gets together. It's like you hear the guy go, "Hey guys, I got the new D&D game. You want to play it?" And you hear the guy, "Oh wow, cool!" And you hear someone in the background go, "Oh no, man, I hear it's really hard." He goes, "Oh no, it isn't really. It's already set up for you. We just got to play it." And he gives a bit character. Who wants to be the fighter? Who wants to be this? Who wants to be that? I mean, as I had the game at that time, that was actually my first D&D product. That wasn't a novel. It was actually that CD and that box set. I don't know what ever happened to it. Probably lost it when I was homeless. But he goes, um, they go through the whole thing, and which, by the way, that adventure is not anywhere it has like three or four adventures in it, and that adventure is not in the box at all. So this kid just made it up on it, just pulled this adventure out of his ass and made it up. Anyways, he goes, and so the four guys, the four players, they get together, and DM just starts in, just immediately. I don't remember. It might have been a long time ago, and that stream has been erased since because I was having a hard time with getting an audience and all that time. Never know, but I might have it played, and I think I did get a copyright strike because of it, if I remember correctly. And I mean, I got a strike for it. It wasn't even like oh, remove it, or we can take the audio off for you, that kind of thing. No, it was like it actually gave me a strike. And I'm going like it's D&D. Who gives a freaking strike on D&D? So he go, he goes through the whole description of them going through this jungle, and they reach this temple, and they make their way up to the top, and they find this pit. Now this whole section is the part that I usually describe to new players because I've heard this segment so many times. I almost have it on permanent memory in my brain. Not perfect memory, but the gist of it is pretty much there. Where the players, they see the pit, they can't see very far into it, and they're trying to, so they're trying to figure out how to get down it if they want to go down it. And but one of the players says, "I'll drop my flashlight down." They go, "Dude, this is like medieval times. You don't have flashlights." And he goes, "Well, check your pack. You might, the DM suggests, well, you do have a pack." I'm going like, you didn't even tell them what you have in a pack. What the, because most players already know what they have in their pack before they even start the game. So he goes, "Well, you do have a torch." And I go, "Oh, okay. I'll light the torch and I'll drop it down." And so he drops it, he lights the torch, he drops it down in the pit, and finds out there's alligators at the bottom, or crocodiles or something like that at the bottom. And the DM adds a little flavor to it and says, "Oh yeah," and when it goes down, it actually bops one of them on the head, ticking it off, and it roars in anger when the torch hits the water and fizzes out. And I go, "Well, yeah," and that's probably what me as a DM, I'd probably do that too. Add a little bit of flavor to everything because you want that little bit of flavor. Upset with an image of a ghost. Uh, I used to read the Xanth novels. I think I made it up to. Well, I made it. I think I was like up to the 12th or 13th book by the time I stopped reading the series because I ended up doing other things, but clothing was almost revealing. Well, if I remember correctly, it was humans that had the whole clothing problem because centaurs were topless. Female centaurs were topless, and they made a point of that because one of the characters, I believe, slipped. Because she comes to us, is riding her like a horse, not in a sexual way, and she comes to a screeching halt, and he slips and tries to grab onto something so he doesn't fall completely off, and grabs her boob, and he stammers. He's trying to apologize, and she goes, "Don't worry about it. That's a thing between you humans." Otherwise, she had no problem with it. She didn't even care. But I do remember that, and of course, there was also the my favorite subject on Xanth, which was the adult conspiracy. Now, anybody that's read Xanth knows exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm not going to explain it because children might watch this stream. But there's three asterisks involved. I did remember that. There's three, and when you see the characters actually say, when you see the three asterisks, that's when it happens. And that was the adult conspiracy. And the adult conspiracy, I believe, was the method to summon the stork. But I'm getting sidetracked here. So they then one guy goes. One of the players makes a suggestion. Well, I could just step over the pit and float on down. And the guy goes, "You could try that, but I could tell you for a fact you're going to step over there and you're just going to fall straight down." He goes, "Well, you said I could do anything I said." He goes, "I could do whatever you want within reason." He goes, "I mean, you don't want to do something ridiculous and you're just going to get yourself killed." So you go, "Oh, okay. Well, you're right. Okay, so I guess I can get a rope or something and climb down." And so one of the characters pulls out a rope, and the first guy climbs down. He makes it okay. Second player goes down, makes it okay. Third player, I guess, rolled a natural one. But actually, it was AD&D at a different time, so it didn't use the 20-sided dice system, or yeah, the 20D system. So it used something else, and so I don't remember what it was what die they said they used. But that character ends up slipping and falling, and one of the characters are already down in because they found out, I forgot to mention, they found a passageway about halfway down. That's why they climbed down. And when the torch went down, that's how they saw it. So they know that's how they figured out it was there before it hit the alligator at the bottom. I forgot to mention that part. So they're climbing down. Two make it down. Third one doesn't. And as he's falling, I think it was the fighter reaches out and grabs him, and rolls a success in doing so. And finally, the fourth person, I think it was the cleric, or yeah, it was the cleric, decides, you know what? I'm going to tie a rope around my waist before I climb down, because I don't want a chance that the fighter ain't going to be able to catch me when I go down. I don't think he's going to be able to do it twice. And sure enough, the cleric, I think it was the cleric, uh, rolls a fail and falls, but is able to fall, but falls just enough to that the rope catches him just outside of the opening. They're able to pull him in, and then it does the complete render. Then they go through the whole situation with the old man in the room and the lizards and all that. Then the third part of the segment, or the second part, is when they actually do the reenactment of it from the point of view of the player characters and go through the whole sequence all over again, starting from they're in the jungle and they find the temple. And pretty much when I heard that, this was around the same time I had Wizardry Gold. So when I wasn't playing Wizardry, I was playing that CD and reading the books that came with the game because I was trying to figure out how to play D&D. And at the time, percentages and decimal points were still a how do I put it? A weakness for me. I didn't know exactly how fractions and decimal systems worked, so so I was still a bit lost on the math. So like, and then it's like about a year or two later, that's when I uh, joined my friend and on that little excursion where I made the barbarian that I never got to play. But ever since I had that CD. Whenever I run a new game and I have players that are new that have never actually played D&D before, I always talk about that segment. I did have a D&D calendar at one time. I don't know whatever happened to it. I think one of the girls just took the pictures because they like the pictures and I let them have the pictures. But that was back in 2009, something like that. Or it could have ended up in the trash. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of my D&D centric stuff was pretty much gone by 2010, and I had to start all over again. I'm looking at you, um, 4E, which, by the way, you don't see it, but the way I have my monitors, I have my laptop, and then I got a monitor behind it set up about a foot or so above it, and that's what I'm looking at. Whenever I'm looking at the monitor above it, that's what I'm looking at. And I use about, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven of the 4E supplemental books and core books. That's what I got holding up the monitor, on holding the monitor up so I can look at it over the laptop. Because that's the only thing they're good for now. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, they do not have those books did not have lasting power. I mean by that is like my player core books. Even though I very like I very rarely had to crack them out, but when I did, the pages started coming apart. So it's like they started falling out of the binding on Player's Handbook 1, which by the way they had 3 Player's Handbooks, and each one set of new characters they bring in were weirder than the ones before. So there was, I think that was the only one where I actually would say no to certain racial types because I had no idea how to integrate them into a campaign. That evil satanic stuff, you can't have that here. By the way, I don't know if you remember or not. Remember when I did the 3 videos for my birthday? It was I'm trying to think of it. It was Mazes and Monsters, a newsreel on the Satanic Panic, and what was that movie? Skullduggery. When I did the um, reaction videos to that, and I still will never forget that I got in trouble with the Mormon Church in Ireland for for doing the reaction to Mazes and Monsters. They said it was copyright by them, and I looked it up. They lied because there's no mention of a Mormon church owning property to anything on that. But I just didn't want to deal with it, so I ended up just getting rid of those 3 videos. But I'll come back to I'll periodically watch them on YouTube because yeah, Mazes and Monsters, you can actually watch it on YouTube as their standard channel, but you also have it. You can watch it for free because other people have it on their channels just to watch. Oh, okay. But yeah, I think it was Mazes and Monsters. This is the funny part. Mazes and Monsters was meant to cause, people to be afraid of role playing games. And the thing was, is my we watched a what do you call it? A review video of it by this Noah Antweiler, which is still up. I think he re-put or re-uploaded it within the last couple of years because the video is like 10, 11 years old, but it's still there. And on that video, um, he actually points it out, and I pointed out too, is the fact that the whole movie actually seems to be on the side of the game the whole time. That the game is not at fault. It's all the stuff going around in their personal lives that's the problem. And but the movie tries not to put any emphasis on it. But even though they do put emphasis on it, they try not to. It's weird how they did that. And then when they get to the and I actually looked this up. Apparently, back in the day, before role playing really became the way it is now, where everybody actually puts emphasis on role playing and storytelling in the game. Back in the day, it was just the dungeon crawling, and that was it. That was what everybody went for, and that was just the dungeon crawling. So at the time, because there wasn't really like stories happening, you could take your character to different campaigns without really causing any hurt to a story. So when you see the little flyer in the movie and it's looking for a person that's ninth level in the game, apparently that actually was a thing. I didn't know that. But so yeah, you could actually take your character from one campaign to another and not hinder anybody's game. And if I remember correctly, before yeah, that was like what was it in the mid '90s? I remember people talking like that. It's like, oh yeah, I got a ninth character. You need a ninth, or I got a level 15 such and such. Do think you can use one in your game? It's like the guy's like, oh yeah, come on over. Well, you can join our group for a couple nights or something. Because the other guy, he's off in Kansas visiting family right now, so we need an extra player for a while. Stuff like that. And I'm just sitting there going like, and then I was like, when I actually played and people were actually doing stories and stuff, I'm trying to figure out how on earth would you do something like that? Well, apparently they didn't put back in the day, they didn't put much emphasis on story. So, yeah. Now that pretty much everybody's trying to be like, oh, what is it? Critical Role or Adventures, something. Adventure Zone or some other group like that, where it's like they're doing like full blown story campaigns. Everybody's trying to be like that now. Yeah, just basic hack and slash. A good example of it, video game wise, would be the Gauntlet games. That's a good example right there of how the game used to be, where you could just you know you're sitting there playing, and you had four controllers or four or not controllers, but you had it set up to 4 players on an arcade machine. And so one person comes up and he's playing the warrior, and he's sitting there playing the warrior. Little kid comes up, he puts a quarter in, he starts playing the elf, and the guy could be like 4 or 5 levels into the game, and this little shit just shoves a quarter in, joins in on the game without even asking, and and then you have two other people show up, and next thing you know, you have a party of four playing the game, and they joined at different times in the game, but it didn't hinder the game at all. It didn't bring the game to a screeching halt. It just continued from wherever the first guy was at the time. And that's how I guess I can describe how D&D used to be back, in the 70s and 80s and stuff. Cuz I was watching a history of Gary Gygax the other day, and I was reading articles and stuff because when I was trying to come up with the whole campaign thing, I wanted to do a little bit of a history lesson first before I completely scrapped it, and that's how I found out about the museum over in uh, Lake Geneva and stuff like that, and then go, oh, I want to visit those places before I croak. Oh, that's true. Um, And of course, in I think it was the first, or I think it was the second game, you could actually hurt the other players if you weren't careful. So a person that's like, working his ass off, he made it to the 10th floor, and then some punk kid shows up and just zaps him with a fire pulse from the wizard and kills him. It's like, yeah, you're pissed. That's why I didn't like the second game that much. But no, it wasn't how they did it. It was actually like different floors did different things, and there was floors where um, it would actually the game master, because they actually had a voiceover of a game master in Gauntlet, um, that would say uh, certain walls will disappear when shot, or uh, other players will be hurt by friendly fire, that kind of thing. It would tell you before you got into the level. So it wasn't just like everybody getting hurt straight through, but it was like certain floors did certain things, and the game would let you know ahead of time before you entered the floor. But yeah, so yeah, I think the first two gauntlets gave a very accurate description of how D&D was at the time, and that's how I actually found out that's how D&D was played for the longest time before people really started going into the role playing aspect. So yeah, but Gary Gygax, he actually started the game like that. It was basically just a strategy war game, and the role playing was just kind of like a secondary thought. Oh yeah, speaking of which, the original Wizardry games, because you can't do that with 6, 7, and 8, or yeah, 6, 7, and 8. You can't do it that way. But all the Wizardry games around those three games, um, you could build characters and build characters and build characters and make any party you wanted in any group you wanted. You could take one group of characters, you could take a few of them out, switch them out. I think you even see me do that on Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, where I was doing just that. Uh, Not so much five. Although I do believe someone told me that five was kind of like a prologue, leading up to six. But I'm still trying to figure out how. And because five was actually, I think that was like the first time where it was a solo game that really had no connection to the other games except for the location. And you could start off with either a new group or load characters from the third game. And I think four was the same way. It was, in fact, four I think is the only standalone game in the entire series, because you play as the evil wizard. What was his name? Wordna from the first scenario. Heart of the Maelstrom was a full-on story. Oh, okay. Well, I do know I can play it on SNES emulator, so I might throw that on here. And I still don't know whether or not if they're going to do the other two scenarios after Wizardry Proving Grounds. If they're going to do reimaginings of the other games, because I think I would love to play them if they do reimaginings. Trying to think here. I do have some of the Japanese ones, a couple of the Japanese ones, which I actually played Wizardry 4 for a little bit, and I couldn't find my way out of the first frickin' floor, and it was because the door is hidden. And nothing tells you that. Because if I remember correctly, there's no real NPC interactions other than, in the original games, there's no real NPC interactions until like the fifth game. That I do know. But yeah, leading up to it, it was you had let's see here, 1, 2, and 3, which was basically just go in the dungeon, kill everything you see, collect gold, build better equipment, or get better equipment and items to keep you alive. Go back into dungeon, kill more monsters, go to the next floor, kill more monsters. Finally, get to bottom floor, find big bad, kill him, collect your reward, and that was it. That was the gist of the first three Wizardry games. Although I think the third one, instead of going down floors, we're going up floors. So I think because I think it was a tower or a mountain or something like that. My dad's just outside the door. I'm going like, why am I hearing my dad's phone? It took me a long time to figure out that you need to summon priests when I wander, then wander around for combat so the priest could cast light spell to allow you to find the damn door to get out of your cell. Really? I just heard that the Vorta was invisible. I didn't know that you had to have specific character types to be with you. And let me guess, finding priests was not exactly an easy task because I kept running into monsters to join with me and ended up getting my butt kicked by wandering adventurers. This, for those wondering what he's talking about, it's Wizardry 4. But yeah, that's how it generally went with most of the early Dungeons and Dragons. Even if you look at the old what do you call them scenarios for Dungeons and Dragons and games of that nature, the most details you get is the name of the guy that runs a store, his person, a little bit of his personality, and what he has for sale, and that's pretty much it. There wasn't much in the line of, I'd say, NPC interaction, if at all, from what I was looking at. Because I used to have, well, I didn't used to have. There used to be a store called Wonderland Comics, and they had a lot. I mean, a lot of the old D&D stuff, but they wanted them for prices that a 13-year-old kid that can barely afford a comic book couldn't afford. Yeah. Like I said, but with Wizardry 4, like I said, I only played it like once or twice and really didn't get far into it because I really wanted to experience the whole story from beginning to, from 1 to 5. And then I was going to do 7 or 6, 7, and 8. But I lost the disc, and of course, computers nowadays really don't read from a CD or CD-ROMs anymore. Heck, I was shocked when I found out that most laptops don't even have a CD drive in them anymore. I was like, I had to go buy a separate one so I could play a couple of games that I still have CDs for, which I think I have all the Elder Scrolls and a few of the Fallout games. But a couple of the Fallout games, I can't get them to play. Like Fallout 3, for some reason, none of the Steam, the GOG, the CD version does not want to play. Apparently, once they went to New Vegas and what was it, 4, they just pretty much abandoned 3. So unless you have a console machine, you're not going to be able to play it. Yeah, but the only reason I say 1 through 5 is because 5 still takes place in the same setting as the first 4. There's a 9. You're not talking about Nemesis, are you? That hack and slash BS. And I think Nemesis came out before 8, so I don't think you're talking about that one. Yeah, and I don't even think I was able to find a copy of it, but I was hearing it had really bad reviews. Same thing with the Wizardry Online, and yeah, I played it for exactly 5 hours before removing it from my computer. You were talking about Wizardry Online. Yeah, I played it for exactly, a couple. I think it was a couple of hours, and then I gave it another shot the next day. And okay, for those who don't know, Wizardry had an online game. It was made by a Japanese company because at that time, or during the current game settings of the Wizardry games, each new game that came after 8 has its own story, its own settings, and they all come from Japan because Surtech, I believe, was bought by some Japanese company. I don't know the name of it. Don't I'm not going to get into it, but I did play Tales of a Forsaken Land, which I did enjoy that one, but I didn't get too far into it. Had a great battle system, but I did, and this was, oh God, was it like 2008, 2009? I saw an advertisement for it. No, it was 2011, I think. I saw an advertisement for it because I was living in my apartment by myself at the time, and it says free, and I go, oh, okay. Yeah, I think it lasted barely a year. It was like the following year, almost to the day. That's when it was removed from the internet. Um, and I could tell you some about the game. The thing that they were using as the main draw was the permadeaths of your player characters. Which if anybody that plays online games, most of the majority of the games, when your character dies, you either start off at a save point, restart at a save point, um, or the nearest town, or well, not a save point, but like you start off at a portal where you last the nearest town that you were at, uh, or the last portal that you visited. The other ones were, but if you were part of a party, they could resurrect you. The other ones were like Wizardry. You had to go to. I think it was. It's been so long since I played with. I barely played with. I'm going to say it right now. Not Wizardry. I meant to say World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft, I played only for a month, and that was when they had it up for free for a while. I don't know if it's still free to download or anything like that, but they had like people to go on for free and play it for a month before decide whether or not they wanted to play it, pay to continue playing it. I played it for a month. I did not enjoy it. I didn't care for the story, um, and what story there was. And the main thing I saw in it that and it drives me nuts about most role playing games is the fact that they put so much emphasis on just building your stats, maxing out your stats, and and pretty much that's all you're interested in. And yeah, exactly. And if you're in and the thing was, they did not make it easy. If I remember correctly, they did not make it easy to join a party in Wizardry online. Like you had to be a certain level. So if you're level 5 and there's no other level 5s around to join a party and they're going into an area you want to go to, um, you're stuck having to wait it out. And that was from another person that played it, I believe, that I heard about that, because I didn't, like I said, I didn't go that far into the game before I just went like, screw this. Because I think, and if you've played Wizardry, it is not an easy game just to get through the first floors of anything. I'm on Wizardry 6 right now, and I'm still in the castle with the first few floors of the castle. And that's still the beginning of the game, just the castle. Because there's a forest, there's a lake, there's ruins, there's temples and all sorts of stuff on the once I get outside. But but right now I am stuck inside this castle, just trying to get out of it. And this is basically what Wizardry Online is. You build your character, and you start off, if I remember, you start off buck ass naked pretty much. I mean, your character is dressed and stuff, but you have nothing to your name. No weapons, nothing. You have to build everything up. So I end up going back to the castle after all that. Thanks for that. But anyway, but yeah, it's like I built my character. I was all set and ready to go. I get into the town. First things first, go in, and it tells you go to the shop. I mean, you're not even role playing. It just tells you flat out go to the shop. You go over to the shop. He gives you your starter equipment, but you have to earn it first. So so he puts you on a quest to earn the equipment he just gave you, and it's a very simplistic quest if I remember correctly. And then then they give you basically your first quests are tutorials like most MMOs do, but it was so blatantly tutorials. Didn't make it part of a story. It just broke the fourth wall immediately. And then I think I actually, once I was out of the tutorials and I actually started my first true quest, I died almost immediately, and I had to start all over again. I just made it out of excuse my language, out of the fucking tutorials, and you kill me almost instantly, and I had to build a character all over again. And I started realizing, that was going to be the main portion of the gameplay, is just building characters over and over and over again. They made the game so fucking tough that you're lucky if you made it out of the first quest, if you do, because I didn't make it that far. I didn't, like I said, I never made it that far to finish the quest. It was basically uh, like if you took Elden Ring and made it stupid. And I've never played Elden Ring, but I've heard a lot of people that stand by that game. And yeah, it's basically Elden Ring, but you just dumbed it down. But the dumbing down had no benefit to anybody. Yeah, yeah. that was a thing too, and it was like and people were telling me that, man, I'm surprised you actually made it out of the tutorial. I'm going like, what? You go, yeah, the tutorial you can even die in that, and I was like, really? And I think me and a friend were actually trying to get a game going together on it, and he couldn't even get out of the tutorial. He went through like 4 characters and he couldn't get out of the tutorial. So we ended up just dumping the game. He got me started on another game for a while. It was one of those Korean games, Fiesta or something like that. We played that for a little while. Um, Very simplistic RPG, by the numbers. Go kill a number of these, collect your reward. Go kill a number of these, collect your reward. Go in the castle, kill a number of these, collect your reward. Basically, it was World of Warcraft without being World of Warcraft. And I hate those kind of role playing games, MMOs, I should say. Um, that's why I play. I do play Elder Scrolls Online when I'm in the mood for it, because it's not just you actually go do adventuring. You don't just go, oh, go out to a field, kill a bunch of squirrels, collect their balls, and then bring them back to me. I played the very first one, Demon Souls, and that was my story. I couldn't even get past the first level or the first area, and I think it was like the second or third monster you come across would just wipe me out. And I think that was when I realized there's certain games I cannot play because it almost gave me a heart attack. I was so frustrated and pissed. Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. That's not very nice. I'm not watching porn. If you must know, I'm talking to uh, another person that's been watching the streams, but they don't have a YouTube account, so they just watch YouTube. They don't have an accountant, and so they're talking to me by chat or text. Anyways, what I was saying. Oh yeah, Demon Souls. I played Demon Souls, and I think it was on PS3. And I think it was, like I said, I actually had to stop playing the game because it was actually I was going to have a heart attack if I kept playing. And I think I actually broke a controller because of it. And it was in front of my daughters at the time, and I felt really bad about that. So yeah, I refused to play any of the Souls games after that, or any kind of game that was it's going to cause me to rage quit or break things. Like I think there was one game on here where on my channel where I did start to get really frustrated and mad, and I didn't even put. Actually, I didn't put it on the video. I just ended up not putting it up because I didn't want to continue playing it, and I didn't want to, I didn't want you guys thinking that I was going to start continuing playing them. Excuse me. So yeah, I just ended up scrapping the whole thing, before it even uh, got started. Trying to remember what game that was, but it was a role playing. It was an action role playing game. But yeah, it infuriated me how tough it was. That's because I take large gaps. If you notice, I take large gaps in between gameplay. I have yet to actually get back to Pool of Radiance, and that's only mainly because I got all these other games I've been playing that I've been enjoying. So I will get back to Pool of Radiance from where I left off, the current gameplay. But yeah, I just don't know when that's going to be because I'm actually having fun playing the other games right now. I'm still a little peeved that I have to do Baldur's Gate fresh, fresh from scratch because of my little blunder a couple weeks ago. So, but yeah, I will get back to it. It's just right now, it's just a matter of what mood I'm in before I get started. Because there has been times where I'll sit there and, well, how my routine works is I'll sit down. I usually have everything on the monitor when I'm watching videos and stuff. But when I play games, I switch them down here to the laptop, and I have the recorder and the stats on the recorder up here on the monitor. Depending on what system I'm using, defines whether or not, and that is true. Um, it depends on whether or not the the sound quality of the game and what system I'm using to record. Like if I'm doing a live stream, 9 times out of 10, you'll see me wearing this headset. If I'm just doing a there went the controller. If I'm just doing a straight recording, I'm not doing a live stream or anything. You won't see the headset on me because I can adjust the volume and stuff to the two separate recordings. So it works out. It works out fine with just straight recordings. But the problem is just like with streaming, there's certain games that won't record properly. They'll be choppy and whatnot, and so I can't play certain like newer games. I really can't play on the laptop because it'll be glitchy as all hell while I'm trying to record. Because the recorder takes up memory just like the game does. So it's counting like I have like two or three things running at the same time, you might say. Anyway, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, about a 5-10 minute break. Um, get me some more liquid refreshment, maybe grab a bag of chips or something. And during that, and go to the restroom and check on my dad, see how he's doing. So I'll be back in about 5-10 minutes. Um, I'm not going to put any music or anything on because apparently when I did that the last time, I got a copyright thing slapped on me. So I can never win apparently. Anyway, I'll be right back. And I'm going to mute the mic. Can you hear me now? And what is that supposed to mean? Yeah. I'm thinking either I need to get a new computer or just get a extension on the hard drive. I'll need that up in your room. No comment. I have been playing Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms for a while. Like I said, I'm not going to do very much in the line of recordings on them. I believe I picked it up almost at the beginning of the game. I just didn't know I had it. I was like watching a what to do when you first start playing video, and that's what I ended up finding out that I had a Black Panther cub. But yeah, I can't seem to get very far on it. No, I did not. I forgot all about that. I probably missed out on it by this point. Hmm. Oh, Founders Day, huh? Well, a little bit later, I think I might do a recording on that, because that's at least something different on here. I'll do that later. Okay. Mm, I guess I'll have to do that. You join in the mailing list, although I haven't really been checking my mail like I should be lately. Come on. Set those aside for now, otherwise I'm going to be eating them the entire time. They're just going to hear me crunching. Next week, it's going to be Wasteland Remastered. And hopefully we don't get any glitches like we did the test play. Because that's the one that won the votes, was Wasteland Remastered, not Wasteland Classic. So it's going to be Wasteland Remastered I'm going to be playing, and I'm probably going to start that sometime either over the weekend or next week. I might do an Idle Champions video because they're having some sort of celebration right now, so I might do some videos on that just to have something a little different on the channel. But Baldur's Gate, I'm actually taking a break on after what had just happened. So I'm deciding on what kind of character I want to play this time. As I played a half orc fighter. I don't actually remember. But I'll figure out a different character to play for next time. And I got to remember how I got out of the second floor on Eye of the Beholder, because I got out of it once. I just can't remember how to get out of it. So maybe I should watch my videos. Because I seem to have figured it out pretty easy the last time. And also, I'll be getting back to Dungeon Hack. And that's one of your favorites because I'm always skipping on stuff on that one. And Knights of the Chalice, Wizardry 6, and just got back to Legends of Amberland last night. Right after I did the first video for Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2. Which I did not notice it until I watched the recording last night. Apparently the cinematics in Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 have a few glitches in them. Because when they show the dwarf's face, when they're like looking around and stuff, he's like pixelated. His whole face is just pixelations. So yeah, there's that. And I think that was like my one disappointment with Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 is the fact that they just kind of write off the 3 characters from the previous game for no other reason that they wanted to use 5 new characters. I suspect that they were probably going to, if they were going to, do a third one like they were planning before everything went tits up. I think that the original 3 were probably going to be part of the next game in a more substantial, instead of, oh yeah, are the 3 prisoners are in the cell, and at the end of the game they bring no mention about whatever happened to them. They're still in that cell as far as we know. Someone told me there was supposed to be a level where you were supposed to free them, but I think I played through the entire game, and I've seen gameplays of it. I don't think there was any mention of a scenario where you rescue the original three characters from Dark Alliance 1. Check my paper doll to see what changes were made. Paper doll. Well, I'll have to be playing the game to figure out what you're talking about, but okay. Oh, okay. And since I'm not an archer, it wouldn't be that much of a thing for me. Okay. I comprende. Excuse me. Okay. I'll do that very thing. I'm hiccuping again. Anyway, so what was I getting at? Oh, okay. That's what you call that? You call that a paper doll? Okay. Okay. Oh, let's see. Hmm. Okay. So let's see. There we go. I got two screens. I have to locate my mouse half the time because I'm trying to click on stuff to read to you guys, but I can't. If it leaves the screen I'm on, I'm completely lost. Okay. All right. So. I think I'm gonna try doing a live stream of Legend of Grimrock again. Uh, Probably later on, either tonight or tomorrow. Um, Reason was because the last two streams I did, I think with all the crap that I removed when I accidentally did that little shenanigans a couple weeks ago, I think it kind of fixed a few things. So I'm gonna see if I can play Legend of Grimrock without any problems this time. And if not, then I'll try again some other time. Um, I don't think I need to do. I hope I don't have to build new characters. Well, we'll find out when I play it tonight. I keep wanting to go back to Pathfinder Kingmaker, but since it's so much like Baldur's Gate playstyle wise, I think I'm going to wait on that. I need to get back to Shadowrun. I think I've only done like 2 or 3 sessions of it. I need to get back to it. And I'm taking the extended break on the Elder Scrolls games for right now. Mainly because I just discovered that a lot of them don't play properly right now. Especially the more recent ones. Arena seems to be playing just fine though, but I'm giving it a break for a while. I think I ran into that one of the last times I played one before I overhauled the whole channel. Wrong pipe. I hate it when that happens. Just be careful. Just be careful putting on once check my stats. Yeah, like I was saying, I think that happened to me a couple times. But let's see here. The Deep Paths Labyrinths of Andacost. When did I get that? Mm-hmm. I think you were the one that suggested this to me. Yeah, I'm watching a video of it right now, just with the sound off. Yeah, I see that. Which, unfortunately, I'm trying to do it where I'm not playing the same type of game on different videos. For instance, I'm trying not to play a Pool of Radiance game, style games, multiple games at the same time. Making the exception with Order of the Griffin. It's kind of the same thing, but it's also different at the same time. If that makes any sense. But yeah. So I'm trying not to do multiple games with the same kind of play setup, combat style play setup, whatnot. So it doesn't, I don't get burnt out playing the same kind of thing over and over again, and hopefully you guys don't get burnt out watching the same kind of videos over and over again. Which now that I think about it, Legend of Grimlock is kind of like Eye of the Beholder in the same way, in the same sense. But I'm making an exception to it because I pretty much put a lot of gameplay into it already. So I might have to wait until after I do Eye of the Beholder trilogy before I get back to it. Also, that's also why I stopped playing Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, because Wizardry, I'm already playing a Wizardry game with Wizardry 6. And I'm pretty much committed to it right now. That and the fact that it's older graphics, so it's a little bit easier to play on my computer for right now. So there's that, and then you got And the only reason I'm playing, making the exception for Dungeon Hack, which is pretty much the same style, just one character instead of four, is because I've been so committed to that particular game since the beginning of the channel. So, yeah, I'm sticking with that one still. Deciding whether or not. All right, let me bring the chart up here real quick. Some type of day would be nice. There it is. A little sluggish there, I guess. I'm deciding whether or not I want to play Warriors of the Eternal Sun, which was on the Genesis, which is also a console exclusive D&D game like um, Order of the Griffin. So I'm deciding whether or not I want to play it. You know, before I finish the other game or while I'm or afterwards. I'm still deciding. But I think I am going to play it fairly soon. I just don't know if it'll be before or after I finish the other game. And that's the big problem. Is do I want to start while I'm still playing the other one? And I also got to get back to Shadowrun. How many sessions do I have of Shadowrun? So the last time I played it. I've only done 2 sessions. I guess I need to get back to it, don't I? Also, I got Hero Quest. I know you probably saw the video of that. I did Hero Quest, the NES, and it's the prototype. I think we talked about it last week, but I think I need to get. I'll probably play that here soon. Like I said, there's probably only going to be like 2 or 3 videos of that. Me playing it because I don't think it's going to be because it's got it was a promo version of the game and it's incomplete, especially when it comes to the stats department. I don't think I'm going to get very far in the game, if at all. And if I do get far in the game at all, it'd be a surprise. But yeah, I'm gonna be continue playing. I'm actually gonna try as a 2 character party, and I'm thinking and I did a little testing around, like I said last week. I said did a little testing around. So I might be doing as a dwarf and an elf, which seem the only 2 characters that seem to last more than the first fight. Because you saw the video, I think you saw the video where it was like I played as the warrior or the barbarian, and he died 1 hit every single time. So I did a little checking, and it turns out, yeah, the barbarian only has like 1 hit point, where everybody else has like 7 or 8, and I think one has 9. So the barbarian I think is supposed to be the front man, so I have no idea why they put him, give him such a weird HP. Well, Heroes Quest, it was actually supposed to be. Well, if you watch it, I think they were trying to do like a video game version of the board game from the 1990s. I said 1980s in the video, but yeah, it was 1990s. And it plays very much like the board game, just with any Nintendo Entertainment System graphics. So yeah, everything's like a brownish green color. But yeah, it was like so I decided to go. Well, you got the choice between one player, one character, one player, two characters, two player, characters. Excuse me. So I went with one player, one character. And I go in as the barbarian and watch the video, and it's like I just barely get out of the room, and there's like right in the next hallway, there's a monster waiting right there. It's a goblin. And I'm trying to figure out the fighting system because there's no manuals anywhere. I looked. There's no manuals anywhere for this version. There's an Amiga version, but it doesn't tell me anything because it doesn't go by a controller. It goes by keyboard and mouse. And this game actually tries to help you, well, not help you, but make you use your controller as a mouse, which is kind of weird. I think the only time I played a game like that was with Shadowrun, and they did a hell of a better job. So I'm sitting there trying to play this, and I go in there, I get the thing. I'm trying to figure out how to do the fighting system, and the fighting system is not easy because you got symbols at the bottom that are meant for different commands, but none of the command, and it's a picture. I have to freaking guess what each picture represents. I finally figured out the fighting system, by the way, which next time I'll do a video, I'll do the explanations for it. But I'm still trying to figure out what the other commands are still. But yeah, so I get in there. Very first monster I come across is a goblin. So roll it, and it rolls dice just like you would for any other board game or role playing game. It rolls dice for the combat, and it actually shows the numbers. I hit it, I miss, and it's kind of weird. It's a weird rolling system where it's like if you've ever played the board game, they have dice that have skulls on them, and they do a lot around the fact about those skulls. And I'm not going to get into it because it will give me a migraine. But so I do that, and I lose, and down I go. I was like, that was just one hit. And even better, you go in naked. Literally, you have no weapons. You're fighting with your bare hands and you have no armor on. And I have yet to run into any armor. Even with, because I actually played it off camera with the two players with a dwarf and the elf, which by the way, the elf is rather thick. And so we go in there. I'm going in there, and I made it through a few rooms, got through quite a few bit fights, and finally get to a treasure chest, and I don't know how to open the damn treasure chest. So I'm trying to figure out how to open the treasure. I think I finally did it on accident. And then I get the items, and now I don't know how to put on the fucking items. Because like I said, there's no manual anywhere that tells you anything about what you're supposed to do. That's why I'm saying if I do any more videos, there's probably not going to be very many. And it's not so much the difficulty of the game, it's the lack of knowledge of the game. Have you seen the latest Legends of Amberland video I put up? Oh. I have been playing Legends of Amberland for a little over a month now. Maybe a little longer than that. But the last video, I put it up last night, I believe. Yeah, it was the last video I put up last night. Not counting the one video I'm going to be removing right after I'm done with the stream here. But you should check it out because it has probably the most baffling thing I've ever seen in an entire role-playing game in my entire life. Not since the 2000 Dungeons and Dragons movie have I seen such a bizarre placement of beholders. Now, if you know what I'm talking about in the movie, it's like they were using beholders like they were guard dogs or something. Because I guess they thought, they saw the movie, what was it? Big Trouble in Little China, where they had that ball with all the eyeballs on it and a face. And they thought that's how beholders are supposed to be used, I guess, in the D&D movie from 2000. Because that's exactly what they did. They turned them into watchdogs. And I just thought, they've never actually, whoever did that has no idea how beholders are supposed to work. But in the case of this, I just start my session. And I'm looking around because really this game gives you hints, but it's not really hand holding. So I have to do a lot of exploration on my own. And I come across a little area that has a guy selling a boat for 2,000 gold very early on. Which, by the way, I have to go over there and buy that again because I died afterwards. Anyways, I go down a ways. I come across, and I see this little island, and I see the island completely out of the corner of my eye. I have the holder, yeah. Anyway, so well, they just called them beholders in the movie, but yeah, they didn't call them anything else. They just called them beholders. But anyway, you'll see what I mean. It happens fairly early in the video, and I say, "Is that a beholder?" I'm out in a field, next to the ocean, and I look over, and I'll be damn out in the middle on a lonely little island with nothing there. There's a beholder just sitting there. I'm like, just staring at me. And I'm like, that's a beholder. What the hell is a beholder doing on a desert island out in the middle of nowhere over there? And he's just sitting there watching me, just like the whole time. And there's no denying the fact. You look at it, you will see it, and you will go, that is a beholder. No denying it. You can't avoid it. It is a beholder. So I go over there to check it out, maybe talk to it perhaps. That sucker is a boss fight in the middle of nowhere. Because he handed my ass quick. And I'm just sitting there going like, why the hell is a beholder out in the middle of the ocean on an island? It's supposed to be like in, underground hideouts and stuff, being like Jabba the Hutt or something. But yeah, that just floored me, seeing that beholder just sitting there. I might come after him later, but so anyway, I go back and I do the other thing, and I ended up on the same continent that without using the boat this time, I use a bridge. And that every now and again, if I look in that direction, you'll see the beholder just sitting there staring at me with that big old grin on his face. And I ended up fighting a bunch of beetles and spiders and other kinds of bugs in a cave and stuff. Hmm. A gas ball that looks like a beholder. Hmm. If you've seen the cartoon Dungeons and Dragons, there is an episode called Eye of the Beholder. I think there was a few of those in the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. I think I ran into a few of those. I thought they were like plants or something, but they also kind of looked like beholders. It was weird. Anyway, so since I never actually seen a beholder or read up on a beholder when I was a little kid, I always thought beholders were supposed to be like that one in the cartoon. I was wrong. No, that beholder didn't even talk. So, which is another thing. They're supposed to be highly intelligent, and they had no like different languages and stuff. But for some reason, in movies and cartoons, this is all they do. Yeah, I think they did them wrong. Just kind of like what the original Frankenstein's monster was like. Because if you read the book Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster is very articulated, very intelligent. He reads books and has a philosophy about life. But apparently, when they made you know this version of Frankenstein with Boris Karloff, the best they could come up with, intelligence about was, and that's all they could do with him. There was one movie where they actually did the monster right. And it was Clancy Brown that played him, and it was the girl from Flashdance played the bride. That was the name of the movie, The Bride, and that Sting was Frankenstein, but they turned Frankenstein into a villain. I think it came out around the same time as Dune, the original 1984 version, where Sting played Fade Routha. I think I had that movie at one time. It's actually a pretty good movie, but I never hear anybody ever talk about it. But it's called The Bride, and it has Gorbel. Okay, you looked it up. Okay, the name of the gas version of a beholder. But yeah, The Bride had Sting as Frankenstein, Clancy Brown as the monster, and he goes by the name Victor. Yeah, I figured that's what you were talking about. And I can't remember the character's name, but it was the girl from it was the girl that was in Flashdance, and she played the bride. Um, It was almost like an entire reimagining of The Bride of Frankenstein. And both movies are from the point of view of the creature and the bride, which I thought was very fascinating how they did that because you really felt for the monster. Hey, I never said that that you're didn't have the monster manuals. I wish I had some of my older ones, but yeah, it's kind of an interesting movie what they did with it because they actually you felt sympathy for Victor, and as he's getting as he's becoming smarter and more educated and stuff like that because he actually becomes famous at like a circus or something like that, playing playing a character at a circus with his best friend who happens to be a midget and and his personal manager. And yeah, and that if I remember, it was the same guy that was the leader of the guys in Time Bandits, the little guy from Time Bandits. And it was kind of interesting how they did that. I was like, yeah, so that he actually gets smarter, and as he's getting older and more educated, and he's becoming smarter, the scars and the stitches and stuff start disappearing. And at close to the end of the movie, you would almost instead of like looking like Frankenstein, he actually looks almost human. Like he wasn't stitched together. He actually looks like he looked like that all his life. And they do start having a romance between the two characters who meet up later on, because the whole movie takes place after the castle burned, that the lab burned down and stuff. And yeah, Sting's version of Frankenstein is a dick because he wants her for himself by this point in the movie. He made her for himself, and he pretty much just abandons the monster. And one of the best parts in the whole movie is she starts falling in love with this uh, guy that happens to visit the area a lot, and Frankenstein gets really jealous and really pissed off about it, and basically like scares the guy away, beats him up and whatnot to get him to leave. And she gets mad about it because she goes, you have no right to do this. And then all of a sudden she just says something like the lines up, "You didn't make me." And he just kind of like cocks his eye and goes, "As a matter of fact, I did." And then gives her, yeah, and then he gives her like his diary, which tells everything about how he made the both of them. And she loses it. She's screaming. Now she wants revenge. And of course, she starts meeting his name was either Vincent or Victor. I think it was Vincent, now that I think about it. And the two of them start talking about running away together. And then finally, and Sting finds out that they're in cahoot, that they've made contact with each other and they're in cahoots against him. And he tries to kill the both of them, and they end up killing him. Well, actually, not killing him, but making him accidentally off himself by falling off a building. And then they leave off to the United States together to make puppies. But the way it ended, you were expecting a sequel, which never happened. But I thought it was a very different take, where it's basically what they did with Maleficent, but this was back in the '80s. It was basically they made the monster the hero of the story, and the one that is initially supposed to be the quote unquote hero of the story is actually the villain. It's basically the same concept, I think. Hmm. Well, but now that we're talking about that, I hate what they're doing with the Disney movies, where they're taking all the villains and making these misunderstood characters. And yes, the worst one they did was Cruella de Vil. You cannot take a character that wants to make puppies into a fur coat and make me sympathize with that person. It cannot be done. I don't care if Dalmatians killed her parents, ruined her face or whatever. You're making a fur coat out of puppies. There's no excuse or sympathy for that. And I don't think Disney understood that, or at least the current group that calls itself Disney understood that. And I was fine with both Maleficent movies, by the way. I was fine with them. Maleficent's my favorite Disney character. And we went, when I was married, we went and saw the first Maleficent. And I was fine with that movie. I was okay with it. I had no problems with it. Huge fan of the Maleficent character in general. And I had no issues with that movie. Second one had, it kind of went a little left field for whatever reason, but I was fine with that one too. I have yet to see or want to see Beauty and the Beast, and I think it was the other one was Cinderella that they did. There's a couple other ones I know that they did. Oh yeah, Aladdin. I have yet to see that one either. But like I said, I was fine with the Maleficent movies, and I said I'm just going to stick with those two, and I got them on DVD here, so I was apparently somewhat happy with it. Anyway, oh, and yeah. As for Young Frankenstein, that was one of the best comedies out there. In fact, I think pretty much anything Mel Brooks does as a parody of anything, he can do no wrong. Even if it's the most racist, insensitive crap that someone could throw out there, he could make it funny. And I applaud him for it. Yes, I don't think anybody else could do it as good as he does. Hmm. We were talking about Idol champions of Forgotten Realms a little while ago. Have you listened to the music? And I'm not talking about the repetitive bump, 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 ba da dum. Not that one. No. I'm talking about the radio station music that they have on there. A lot of I mean, it, is it just me, or does it, a lot of the, especially with the female singer, it sounds like 90s folk music? Like someone trying to be Jewel or something like that. Like it sounds like it belongs on the soundtrack of a rom com from the 90s. I don't know any of the names of the songs, but there's one that I think is funny that is like pretty much all the songs are about racial types, monster types. There's almost a romantic song called Hive Mind. Which obviously they're talking about the mind flayers and their hive mind aesthetic, but it's like, and it's making this romantic song about it. I just went like, am I hearing this right? But yeah, it's like someone put like a bunch of D&D concepts and turned them into 90s pop songs. And tell you the truth, I'm kind of, if I was doing a recording, I'd be afraid to play those because I don't know whether or not I get slapped with a copyright for playing them. Because you can't find them anywhere on YouTube. And I think there was a, but yeah, if you actually listen to those songs on Idle Champions of Forgotten Realms, anybody, if you listen to them, you'll think the same thing. It's like pop songs in the '90s, but they're all D&D themed. You got your folk, your folk jewel sounding music. You got I'm trying to think of that one group that was popular for the longest time. They still play them on the radio, and I can't think of the name right now. But yeah, there was this one group, and it was like they had that song that got really popular for like City of Angels with Nicolas Cage. I can't think of the name of that group, but it's music like that through the whole thing. I should try them. Usually, I just shut the game off for like 2 or 3 hours, come back and see, oh, I got money, and why am I 4 or 5 areas ahead of where I was the other day? Because I didn't click anything. I think I'll try that now. Oh, wrong button. Yeah, I've noticed that because I actually had this game off my computer for a little over 2 months. Came back and it was like I had like crap load of gold. I'm just sitting there going. The only thing that sucks is it only goes through with the one particular quest. Then when you start up another quest, it's basically you're starting all over again. That's probably the only thing I really hate about it. Oh, we got people shooting fireworks already. Is it still raining where you are? They're all shooting their load, huh? What time? Oh, still got another 20 minutes. I think I can go for another 20 minutes. All right, well. But, see, tonight, yeah, I'm going to play a game tonight, but I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be pretty late when I put it on. So, you don't have to stay up for that if you don't want to. But, it's going to be, yeah. So, anyway. Uh, yeah, the reason I haven't had very many videos popping up is because I've been working on the one video about the campaign setting and the campaign in general. And like I said, the original idea was I was going to be doing a like a history of the world kind of thing, you know, as I built it up and set things up for the characters and all. I keep saying in the middle of my sentences. I need to stop doing that. But so the that was the original idea, but it ended up with me mostly trying to figure out how to put it together with in a cohesive nature where people understand it without sounding like I'm doing a history lesson. But then I came across the notes on the characters that were in the campaigns, so I just decided to go with that instead. I'm going to see if I can try to get a hold of the original players and see if I can get a hold if they've kept their notes and maybe borrow them and see if I can fill in a lot of the gaps. But that's pretty much the idea anyway. I think I can get a hold of at least two of them, so we can go from there. I never realized how boring of a game this is when you're not actually playing it. Because I'm not doing anything really. I'm just watching it play, and I'm just sitting there going, like, this gets boring after a while. So tell me, how can Idle be called a game if you actually can have moments where you put absolutely no input into it whatsoever? You don't have to click on anything. You don't have to mess with anything. Well, maybe you have to activate some of the characters when you got the money, but other than that, you really have no input on the game whatsoever. How do I do that? Because there's been times where it's like it'll do it, and then other times it won't, and it's like completely random with me. So if there's a switch, tell me how to do that. Oh, it was off. Then why'd they advance then? Yeah, I see it. Yeah, it says auto progress off. But the thing is, I just watched them progress and I didn't do a thing. Oh well. Well, maybe when I shut off this game later on, it'll do its own thing anyway. Mm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see it now. Yeah, it's not progression. Okay. Yeah, I know. So every fifth area has a boss. But, I think it's funny about every fifth area is if you go through the fight, and you're watching the fight, even the lackeys are a little bit tougher to kill. I need to get these away from me. I knew there was something I was forgetting. Turn that off for right now because it's kind of interfering with the stream. Anyway, so yeah, next week I'll probably I was going to do one next week because originally I was planning on not doing a stream, but I changed my mind. So otherwise we wouldn't be here talking. But so next week I'm going to forego having a stream next week and push it for the following week for either Friday or Saturday night. Probably Saturday night. Um, One thing that sucks though is not having a job, and I'm still not getting paid for this stuff yet. I'm in the 700s when it comes to viewership hours, but they say they won't start paying me until I have 3,000 or more per year. Well, that's pretty much what I just did, which was basically the starting room. I forgot I was even playing that game. I should probably get back to that. I'll probably wait till September though to do that. Grotesque Tactics Evil Heroes. If you guys remember, I was playing that at one time. I might have to come back to it, 'cause I haven't played it in a long time. Heroes of a Broken Land. supported. I'll take a look at that one. When we get off, when we get in with this stream here, I'm probably gonna check that one out. Heroes of a Broken Land. I forgot who suggested that to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get going because I really can't think of anything else I want to talk about tonight. Let's see. It's almost 8 o'clock. So thank you, JP, for keeping me company for the evening. You're always a welcome sight. And anybody else that came by and just watched or popped in real quick, thank you for watching. And I'll say about a week or two, we'll probably do this again. Probably 2 weeks, we'll do this again. I am going to be doing some live streams on Twitch over the weekend. I might even do one later on tonight. I'm not sure. So you guys take care, and I'll see you guys in the next stream or video on CRPG Dungeons and Dragons Night on YouTube or CRPG D&D Night on Twitch. And you guys take care. Bye-bye. And thank you, JP, and I'll see you next time. I'll work on it, I promise. There'll be plenty for you to do soon. Take care.